Hi, this is Jonathan Armstrong from Punter Southall Law, the London-based lawyers, and I'm really pleased that Judge Seo Yoon Lee is here to join us from Korea, and we're going to talk about AI. And as ever, Judge, I apologize for my terrible pronunciation of your name. Um,
No
but
worries.
you're but you're a very experienced judge. You're a district judge of the Court of Korea, and you've been a judge there since 2012. You were educated in Korea and Canada, and you spent some time at the International Criminal Court in The Hague. And I was lucky enough to share a panel with you when I was over in Seoul, and we had a discussion about AI. And you've been doing some research on AI, some of the human rights aspects, and some of its impact on the judiciary. So maybe I can start by asking you a question that obviously I saw when I was over in Korea, that Korea is one of the most advanced countries in the world in terms of AI. And I was fortunate enough to look at various applications and even had a robot porter carry my bags for me at the airport. So, given that you're in a very advanced AI country, how much are judges talking about AI there?
First, thank you so much for your kind words about Korea. And actually, to be honest, with the heavy workload that most judges in Korea face, it seems that there's not much time for them to explore AI. However, there's a dedicated group of judges called the AI Study Group who are taking this topic seriously. I'm also part of this group, which is led by Justice Lee Soo-gyun from the Supreme Court of Korea. And our members are actively studying the impact of AI on the judicial system. And some are even learning programming to see how AI can be integrated into our work. Right now, we are focused on creating guidelines for judges on how to use AI responsibly and effectively.
Yeah, and by heavy workload, you told me earlier that you've dealt with 700 cases since February alone. So I think by our standards in the UK, that's certainly a huge workload. Um, we've had regulatory cases in Korea, both from the data protection regulator and the equivalent of the Korean FTC. Are judges seeing cases concerning AI as well? Are they coming across your desk?
So I have seen two cases, and one example was in 2023 when ChatGPT Plus accidentally exposed personal information like names, emails, and credit card details for about 9 hours. And this breach affected 700 Korean users. The KDPR fined OpenAI about 3,000 US dollars because they failed to report the breach within Korea's strict 24-hour deadline for notifying regulators. And another case involved the Korean AI chatbot Iruda. Many Koreans might remember Iruda for its controversies around discrimination, hate speech, and inappropriate responses. However, the chatbot also faced legal trouble for leaking personal information. So here's what happened. The data for Iruda came from a romance advising app where users upload their chat history with someone they liked. And the app would analyze these conversations to tell you how much how much the other person loves you. But the, but the data acquired from this app for Iruda, including names and addresses, wasn't properly filtered before being used to train the chatbot. So the company didn't obtain explicit consent from users for this specific purpose and failed to anonymize the data.
Yeah, that sounds a really interesting case. And I think we're seeing lots of issues around training data on our side of the world as well, in particular people not using the right sets of data to train, or as you say, not anonymizing, not filtering the data correctly. And another area that we talked about in Korea that I found really fascinating was your research work looking at the human rights aspects of AI and its impact on humans, again around training data and that whole ecosystem. Tell us a bit about that, if you will.
Yeah, my research mainly focuses on the intersection of AI and human rights. In fact, I was particularly interested in privacy at first. Privacy as a human right is actually relatively new compared to other fundamental rights, but that doesn't make it any less important. And in fact, in today's world where large scale surveillance is possible, privacy is becoming even more critical. Then came AI, particularly large language models like ChatGPT with unprecedented power that shocked the world because these AI systems are built on data, including vast amounts of personal information. They have a direct impact on privacy and other human rights as well. And this led me to dive deeper into AI research. And the more I learned, the more I saw how AI implementation raises complex challenges beyond just privacy, touching on issues like discrimination, equality, and even freedom of expression. That's why I believe studying the relationship between AI and human rights is so crucial for our future.
Yeah, and you had some really good thoughts on the gig economy and on people being used to filter chat data in low cost jurisdictions. So these are people who almost were like old fashioned laborers on the land, but laboring in data rather than AI in low cost jurisdictions. So there's a lot of talk about AI leveling up, about it making people equal. But I think some of your research suggests that the digital divide is increasing, that there's a bigger gap between the haves and have nots, and AI is widening that gap. Is that correct?
In my opinion, yes. We are already seeing societies split into two groups. The majority rely on AI and are often controlled by it, and a smaller group who actively use and benefit from AI. Well, Professor Yuval Noah Harari explains this polarization fairly well. He predicts that advancements in AI and robotics will create new jobs, but only in highly specialized fields, while simple labor jobs will become obsolete. This could lead to society being divided into what he calls the working class and the useless class. And beyond social stratification, Harari also warns about extreme concentration of wealth and power. Leading nations or corporations could generate massive profits by dominating AI and the metaverse, while others struggle to access these benefits, resulting in an unprecedented level of inequality. Another issue is the exploitation of labor. Many of the people feeding and filtering data for AI systems are underpaid workers from developing countries where labor is cheap. Ultimately, the impact of AI depends on how it's designed and implemented. That's why the role of governments, lawmakers, and regulators is so important. We face new and unprecedented challenges with AI every day, and addressing them proactively is essential to ensuring that AI narrows the digital divide rather than widens it.
Yeah, that's a really powerful message. And I guess we've talked quite a lot about fears around AI. So you've talked already about the impact on lower cost workers, about the digital divide, about discrimination. Are there other fears that you have for AI as well?
Honestly, yeah, there are quite a few. One of my biggest concerns is the possibility that AI could become uncontrollable by humans. And this fear has already led to calls for pausing or slowing down AI development to ensure it stays within our control. And AI's efficiency is another double-edged sword. Take war, for example. AI can make it easier to identify targets and carry out attacks with far less human involvement. But mistakes can still happen, and the consequences can be tragic, like innocent lives can be lost due to a technical error. Another fear is AI's ability to influence people's opinions in ways we might not notice. As AI becomes more sophisticated in targeting individuals and shaping their perspectives, it raises serious concerns. Think about the Cambridge Analytica scandal. It could
Yeah.
become even harder to detect these kinds of manipulations in the future, right? And then there's environmental impact. AI relies heavily on resources like electricity and critical minerals. For instance, a single ChatGPT conversation uses about the same amount of water as a small bottle at data centers. So I brought this water, and this is 2 liters. One single communication will use this amount of water.
Wow.
Yeah, and mining the rare elements needed for AI systems often isn't sustainable. Powering these systems generates significant greenhouse gas emissions. What's especially alarming is that AI isn't just in the hands of governments or just big corporations anymore. So anyone anyone can access and develop AI technology, which means it could be pushed to unprecedented and potentially dangerous levels. As these concerns make it just clear that strong oversight and responsible development are essential. AI has the potential to do amazing things, but we have to ensure it benefits humanity rather than harms it.
Yeah, no, really interesting thoughts. And I think your statistic about water is even more relevant. I've been lucky enough, yeah, I've been lucky enough to go out to Utah, for example, in the United States and look at data centers there. And of course, a lot of data centers are in places where water is particularly scarce. So I know that in arid areas of the US, for example, they try and put them near dams, et cetera, et cetera. So that's very relevant. And I think your fears about AI being able to power misinformation are particularly relevant as well. We've had a case concerning an individual called Bradley Chait in the UK who was tried to kill the Queen after a AI chatbot persuaded him it was the right thing to do. So we're already seeing, I think, nation state interference in AI. Yeah. But I guess we shouldn't be depressed. Let's try and end on a positive note. AI must have some good things as well, does it?
Absolutely. Yes. When used with good intentions and guided by responsible regulation, AI has immense potential to benefit society. Historically, technology has often started as a tool for only the powerful, but over time, its benefits have been shared more broadly through regulations and a lot of efforts. And I believe AI can follow a similar path. To achieve this, we need to carefully design frameworks that ensure AI is inclusive and empowers everyone, not just a select few. So with thoughtful leadership, collaboration, the right policies, AI can truly become a force for good in the world.
Well, that's a very positive note to end on. But you've opened our eyes to, I think, some of the issues around AI, and it's fantastic to have your perspective. So, Judge, a heartfelt thank you for taking the time to chat this through with us. We're really very grateful. And thanks, everybody, for watching and for listening. And we'll put some details around what we've been talking about at the bottom of the screen if you're watching on YouTube. But again, Judge, thanks so much for your time and for your inspirational thoughts.
Thank you very much.